Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Dominique, aka Mr. Kid Thunder 2, coming back to you guys again for another video. So today what I'm gonna talk about is why I did not become a naval officer. As you guys already know, my whole family, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, uncles that are still serving, and I think probably some cousins too that are all Navy. Everybody is Navy. And it was so funny when I'm pretty sure everybody found out that I went Army, that I even joined the Army, and then on top of that became an officer in the Army. I'm the only officer in my family, and we have tons of military that just runs through my blood, right? So a big question from my family was, so why didn't you go Navy? You know, why didn't you become a naval officer? Like, what was wrong with them? So if I just bring this back to right before I joined the Army, I was actually applying for the Navy. There were 3 jobs I was looking at in the Navy. It's called a SWO, a surface warfare officer, a SUPO, a supply officer, and then Intel, you know, being an Intel officer. There were some other terms in there, rated and non-rated, and there were some other terms, but those are the 3 jobs I was looking at. So to become an officer in the Navy, you have to take this test called the OAR, which is the test that I took, right? And then you also have to take a test called the ASTB, which I believe is a longer version of the OAR, correct? So what I did is I took the OAR, I got my score. I don't really remember what my score was. I think it might have been 50 something, but I don't really know. All I know is that test prepared me enough to not have to study for the ASVAB. But that's a whole different story. Let me tell you guys why I did not go naval officer. So those are 3 jobs I was looking at. And being a SWO, I heard it was like really cutthroat, right? It was really cutthroat, and it was really super hyper competitive, and everybody just hated their life because everybody was just like dogging each other out in the officer world as a SWO. And then you got to study and everything else to get your to get qualified as a SWO, and getting qualified on your first ship is supposed to be like the biggest thing and most important thing you have to do. That's not what stopped me. And then as a SUPO, which is supposed to be the most transferable skill, doing supply, a supply officer. I actually wanted to do that one, but I think there was some rules about how it was like not open or something. I don't know. And then Intel, I didn't want to have to take the longer test. It was way too lazy. It's just way too lazy. And at that time, I thought Intel stuff was kind of cool, but I'm glad that didn't lure me in because I'm not really into MI, military intelligence. I'm not into that stuff at all, to be like totally and perfectly honest. So what really ended up forcing me not to go naval or be a Navy officer is the outside job opportunities and just being on a boat out at sea, you know, just was not my thing. I can't swim, so that didn't scare me or anything, but the outside job opportunities and the job transferability, I think it was like the chances of getting SUPO weren't like super high. They weren't high at all. But I knew if I went to the Army, I think 9 or 10 out of the 16 basic branches can easily be transferred out to the civilian world, right? And then also I like the ability and the idea of being able to go to OCS and then compete for a job. I was like, okay, if I can go out there and compete for it, then I know I can get whatever job I want because nobody's gonna outwork me, you know? Nobody's gonna outwork me. So I should be able to beat all these guys hand over fist, right? So that was my logic. I was like, I can't compete for a job at OCS, but if I go to Army OCS, I can compete for a job. And a lot of people will probably say that, oh, but what if, you know, if you get kicked out of Army OCS, you're at the needs of the Army. But you know what, and you're forced to go enlisted, but that was never a thought on my mind. When you go to OCS, you don't think about not completing. You just complete and you get your job. So that's really what really deterred me. Not that the Navy has some good opportunities as an officer, but the 3 that were introduced to me from my recruiter, SWO, SUPO, and then Intel, they had their downfalls, as you can already understand from what I'm saying. So I believe that going to be an Army officer, because the vast majority of them are going to transfer out to the civilian world really well, was just, you know, way more up my alley and way more of something that I could do. And talk about a heartbreak when you tell your family that and everybody in the world is Navy and they expect you to go Navy. Even my last job, most everybody was retired Navy. So as you guys can see, it wasn't too easy of a decision. So, but that is my reason, you know. Couple different reasons, you know. I'm really big into transferring out to civilian world, because what happens if I don't want to do 30 something years in the Army? What happens if I don't want to do 30 something years in the Navy? What happens if I don't get SUPO? What happens if I get something else? That was my thought process. It had nothing to do with actually not even being able to get accepted. But yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you guys can hit me up on Snapchat at Klop95, KLOP95, or Instagram at KIDTHNDR2. And like I always like to say at the end of all my videos, don't live the same year 75, 80, 85, 90 times and then try and call it a life. My name is Dominique, aka Mr. Kid Thunder 2, and I'm out of here, guys. Peace.